roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Taking a look at your area weather, today's forecast is calling for cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain, dropping to 40% by tonight. Alamogordo, high of 56, low of 35. Cloudcroft, high of 41 and an overnight low of 24. For tomorrow, we're looking at sunny skies. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 52, low of 32. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 40 and an overnight low of 23.
This is the KNMZ Football Roundtable, Season 32. 5 local business people in a competition picking winners from the best high school, college, and NFL games every week. Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris Agency, Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group, Timothy Brock of Christ Community Church, Jake Roberts with Coldwell Banker Sudworth Nelson, and Lara Conway of First National Bank. Now, let's get to the picks. ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Hello and welcome into the KNMZ Football Roundtable. I hope everybody's having a fantastic Friday, and we are ready for another week of picks here on the show, and excited to have you along with us as we, most of all, wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and hope it was a fantastic one for you and yours. We got the entire crew and a fill-in today, and I feel like he's going to be a high-quality fill-in for Tim, so we'll get to him in a second. But we start in with Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris. Manny, how are you?
Good morning, except for the wind. And, you know, the wind is the only weather event we have around here that's a little adverse. Most of our weather is pretty cool. Pretty acceptable, but this wind, and it's not even March.
Yeah.
And out of my place south of town, it's coming across, and it's like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's real.
We get every now and then we get it this time of year. It's just that change of season silliness.
I'm on a tree watch. I've got a bunch of large trees, and I've been watching them, and I'm wondering which one of them are going to give out.
There you go.
Break out the chainsaw.
Lara Conway with First National Bank. Lara, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. Good Thanksgiving?
Yeah. I made my first turkey, my first married Thanksgiving, and made a turkey breast, and it didn't burn it.
All right.
So, winning.
Didn't undercook it?
Didn't undercook it, didn't overcook it. It was perfect.
It's not a marriage turkey if you don't burn it.
Right, I know. Dang it.
It's a law.
I shouldn't be an overachiever in that one.
Yeah, now they're going to expect that from now on. Yeah.
Right,
Don't worry, there's still Christmas.
You can't set it too high because then they expect that.
There's still Christmas.
There you go. Exactly. That ham, it could be a little complicated.
Right.
Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group. Brandon, what's up, buddy?
Well, you know, the wind's blowing. It's a little cool outside, but it feels nice. I mean, I could do without the wind.
Yeah.
Other than that, the rain yesterday, the clouds, you know, it just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a nice wintry day.
Okay, very good. We have Bill Guthrie, who I'm sure many people have seen on the sidelines for basketball and for volleyball and many other places throughout town, is filling in for Tim Brock at Christ Community Church. Bill, what's up, man?
How much?
Go pull that mic a little bit closer. You got a little bit closer
sorry.
on the mic for you. There you go. Just squeeze up a little bit. So he is all dressed out in his Michigan. He's ready for tomorrow. Is that be fair to say?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
That's what I figured. Bill is, at least from what I see on Facebook, one of the biggest Michigan fans I know. So
I love Michigan.
Yeah.
My team.
And do you have Ohio State friends? Is there trash talk there?
I do have a lot of that team's fans. Yes.
That team. We can't even say it.
Can't say it this week. That's right. All right. Well, we look forward to it. And Jake Roberts from Coldwell Banker Sudworth Nelson. Jake, what's up, buddy?
Loving it. Loving the wind. Loving the rain. Loving the weather. Just all stoked about it. Pulled out my snowboard yesterday. Started waxing it down. Waiting for my boots to come in. Got my rock star look going today. We're killing it.
They were already making fun of you already this morning with your beanie that you have on this morning.
What else is new? Bring it on. Let's go.
All right. After last week, a very good week for Jake, 11-5, but still couldn't gain any ground on Lara.
He also went 11-5.
As I sent the picks out, Lara also went 11-5. Yeah. As I sent the picks out, we got an email back, and there was a Hulk Hogan gif pointing at Lara. I'm coming for you, brother. So.
I was going to do the cash me outside me back to him.
Girl,
yeah, but...
Tim went 10-6 along with Brandon, so decent weeks for both of them. So Bill's going to try and help Tim out a little bit, see if he can catch me or get further away from Manny, one of the two. Manny 9-7. And myself 8-8. I did not have a good week last week. So, All right, let's go ahead and get on with the high school picks. It's state championship weekend tomorrow, and all these games are on Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm a little concerned about that Bloomfield-Portales games. I know it's snowing up there, and man, it's a long road trip for Portales, so safe travels to those kids. But we'll get to that game here in a second. We start off with Class 5A. It's the one that Alamogordo's in, so that's the one we'll start with. Roswell going to Los Lunas, a rematch of the 2018 state championship game, which Roswell won 42-6 last year. Both teams with impressive wins in their semifinals. Roswell took care of business against Deming 49-12. Los Lunas 35-14. They topped Goddard on the road at the Wool Bowl. Very impressive there. These two teams played earlier this year, back on September 13th, 56-33. Roswell got the win in that one. Roswell, as a program, going for their 7th state championship. Of course, they won last year, so trying to go back-to-back. Los Lunas still looking for their first. They've only been to 2 state title games in 2018 last year and in 2012. So kind of find yourself rooting for the team that's never won it before, but how good is that Roswell team? They've been excellent all season long. Manny?
They have been excellent. And what's remarkable about the Coyotes is the team speed, overall team speed. I was impressed when we went over to the Wool Bowl for the Tiger Coyote game, how fast those cats were. They've put up 591 points this season, only given up 231. Los Lunas has put up 466 and given up 171. You've already mentioned the loss to Roswell on September 13th. Does that matter? That was so early in the season. I don't think so. This is, go straight up. Don't bet on this game. But I'll be paying close attention. But I expect Roswell to prevail on the road. Go Coyotes.
All right. Lara?
Roswell.
Okay. Brandon?
Tough game. I think Los Lunas, the second part of this season's been stellar for them. I mean, they have really come out. And I don't think, did anybody pick Los Lunas to win?
I did. There were a couple of us, 2 or 3 last week.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that much of a blowout, against Goddard. But I'm going to stick with Roswell. I think Roswell is just the better of the teams, but I think this is going to be a very good game.
Yeah, I think so too. Bill, what about you?
Tim's got Los Lunas for this one.
Okay. He likes the Tigers to win it. Jake?
Yeah, but Tim likes to lose, so it's okay. No, Roswell's number 1, and they deserve to be number 1. They've been a really, really good team. All credit to Los Lunas. Really stoked for the game. I'll be rooting for Los Lunas just because I'm all about the underdog and the person who's never won. But I'm picking Roswell.
I think the question, obviously, is can they, improve on what happened earlier in the season? It was a while ago. It was 3 months, 2 months ago, and to me, the bigger question is, Los Lunas, I think, is a bigger team. They're not nearly as fast as Roswell. Can they find a way to at least shut down Roswell offensively a little bit, which not many teams have been able to do? I think the fewest points Roswell scored this year was 24, and that was in that Goddard game at the end of the season. So nobody's really been able to figure them out that well. You know what? They're at home. I'm rooting for them. I'm going to try to gain something on Jake and Larry here. I'm going to go Los Lunas. I'm pulling for them in this game. Nothing against Roswell. Those kids and Coach Lynn have done a great job, but
there's nothing better than an underdog story. Never had the championship. You want to root for them. I'm all for Los Lunas winning, but.
Hey, Jake, I agree with you, but I've got extra motivation. Carla's brother Jack is on the way over from Roswell right now.
Okay, all right.
He couldn't make it yesterday, so we're going to do a replay on Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Nice.
And he played for the Roswell Coyotes. He's a big dude. He's a cement truck driver. I want to report to him that I picked Roswell.
Fair enough. All right. On to the Class 4A state championship game, and certainly the team that has the longest road trip. Portales has to go all the way up to Bloomfield in the northwest part of the state. Bloomfield's undefeated this season. They got to the state title game last year in a 14-7 loss to Taos last season. They've been to a lot of state title games. They've been to 7. They've only won 1, and that was way back in 1966. Portales has had a little more success, including a 43-14 win over Robertson back in 2016. None of these kids that are playing in this game were involved in either one of those games. Maybe there was a few freshmen that were in that Portales program, but probably didn't play in that game when they won a few years ago. Portales is 11-1. They beat Lovington 26-7. Kind of feels like Portales has played a little tougher schedule throughout the year, but Bloomfield's, I think, has proven that they can compete with anybody. They had a tight one against Grants last week, 48-41, but got the win. You got to think that road trip is going to make a difference in this game. That is a long road trip for the Rams, but Portales has been very good this year. This will be a tough one to pick. Lara, who do you like?
Bloomfield.
Okay, going with the home team. Brandon.
You know, I want to go Portales in this, but I don't. Here's the reason why I'm not, is because Bloomfield is used to playing in this kind of weather, and I think that makes a big difference, right? So Portales is kind of even more deserty than us, and so I don't know how much of that bad weather, the cold, the elevation, even though Bloomfield's not like way up there, it's still a higher elevation. That's the only reason why I'm going to go Bloomfield. Plus, they're playing at home, but it should be an interesting game.
Bill.
Portales.
Okay. Tim's going with the underdogs a little bit this week, it seems like. Jake?
Actually, I would have thought Bloomfield was a little bit of the underdog, actually, because they are ranked a little bit lower than Portales, or they are giving Portales that that strength of schedule kind of boost right there. So I'm going to take Bloomfield. I think the home field's going to matter in this one. Where's Tim when you take an underdog?
The road trip is what concerns me for Portales. So I got to go with Bloomfield. They were in the state title game last year. Hopefully, a little bit of confidence gained from that. It was a close game. They lost to Taos on the road. It's a. And I do think the weather will be a factor, but that a lot of the time I think just kind of evens things out. I don't know how much of a. I think the team maybe that has the more talent, that hurts them more. And I'm not sure either one of these teams is clearly more talented than the other. So probably going to come down to that whole execution thing. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go Bobcats. Manny?
Now, this one is impossible. Bobcats has put up 582, given up 186. The Rams have put up 388, given up 154. But I think that I looked at the schedules, and I think Portales had a tougher schedule. Slightly tougher. I don't think the road trip is that big a factor. I'm sure they're already there, or getting close to being there. They're in place, and Portales is out in that flat country. They're used to the wind. They're used to the elements as well. I'm going to go Portales in an upset on the road.
All right. And then the big school state championship. We got Cleveland taking on Rio Rancho. First time we've seen these two teams in a state title game play each other. And it's not like there's a ton of history, but this has become a really good rivalry in the state. Cleveland's only been around since 2009. Rio Rancho High School's only been around since 1997, so it's not as if you can go way back into the history books for a whole lot here. But this season, Cleveland beat Rio Rancho 35-20 in the final game of the regular season. Cleveland beat Clovis in their semifinal. Rio Rancho knocked off Volcano Vista. They've had quite an interesting season. They've played the toughest of the tough. They've probably had one of the toughest schedules in the state, and I think probably one of the big reasons that it's got them there. Last time Rio Rancho was in the state title game, they beat Las Cruces High 39-17. Last time Cleveland was in the state title game was last year when they lost to La Cueva 33-14. So you got a lot of guys in that storm side that are wanting to try and win a state title after dropping one last year. They last won a state championship in 2015. Each school has a couple of state titles. It's difficult to try and parse between these two teams, but maybe you give Cleveland the edge. Then that game they won at Rio Rancho High School. Not like it's a super long road trip from Cleveland to Rio Rancho High School, but still, it is a true road game if you want to say it that way. Brandon?
This is going to be it should be a down to the final, whoever has the last possession game. I really truly feel like it's going to come down to that. Rio Rancho, the second half of the season, has really turned it on, and that's something that you've got to take in consideration. So I'm going to go Rio Rancho. Fun game, but man, it's going to be a battle to the end.
All right, Bill.
Yep, I'm with Brandon on that one. I feel whoever scores last is going to win this one. We're going with Rio Rancho on that one.
Okay, 2 Rams so far. Jake.
I have picked like every Rio Rancho game wrong. Every single one.
Well, why stop now?
Yeah. Right. So they've been a really, really good team. They've definitely had a really tough schedule. Every time I pick them, they lose, and every time I don't pick them, they smoke. And so it's aggravating. I'm going to take Cleveland. So just everybody else take Rio Rancho, and you'll get a win on me. But I'm going to take Cleveland on this one.
And Rio Rancho's been super impressive in the postseason. I mean, not that Cleveland hasn't. They've gotten to the state title game, but they've played 2, I feel like, closer games. Beat Centennial by 5. They went on the road and hung 56 on Clovis. That was surprising to me. And Rio Rancho, of course, shut out Las Cruces and beat Volcano Vista after they had dropped one to them earlier this season. They've done pretty well on the revenge tour stuff this season, at least with Volcano Vista. I'll go Rio Rancho. I don't feel good about it, though. I wanted to pick them last week, and I wimped out. Manny?
Both of these teams have very high production offenses, but the Storm's defense is better by 100 points this season. I think that's the difference in this one. I'm going Cleveland.
Lara?
Oh my gosh! I usually wait till Manny spits out the stats and then I make up my mind. But
That's what I mean, Manny. You can't help her out here. I'm trying to get a game.
I don't think it helped her out, Jake.
Yeah,
man.
like,
She looks still very perplexed in which way she wants to go.
I came in like Cleveland for sure, but now I'm like, I'll go with Justin. Pick Rio Rancho. Justin picked that for me, so I'll blame him.
All right. And then in the Class 3A state championship, we were, of course, hoping to see Tularosa in this title game, but credit to Socorro. They got the win last week in that semifinal. Hope Christian was dominant over Robertson to get the state title game. This is the first state championship game for Hope Christian. They've been a great boys basketball program over the years, but not so much on the football side. Socorro's only got one state title. It's back in 1977. Eddie Castaneda, who they named the football stadium after him, they went to 2 state title games in 76 and 77. They beat Academy that year, so maybe a little bit of symmetry here. They beat a private Albuquerque school when they last won their state championship. Maybe it'll be the same thing here in 2019. Socorro last went to a state title game in 2009 when they lost to Lovington 28-21. But as for the group this year, Socorro has these two teams didn't play this year, but there's some common opponents in there. Socorro beat Robertson earlier this year. Hope Christian beat them. Hope Christian didn't have a very tough district. Socorro, you could probably say the same. This is it's a tough one to decide on. Hope Christian was the top seed last year, and they got bounced in the semifinals. They're looking for a little bit of revenge. Socorro, this group hasn't been in this spot recently, so there's a lot to be said about who can step up in the moment. But Bill, who did Tim pick, or who did you pick?
Well, Tim did pick Hope Christian on this one, and a little bit of research that I did with Hope Christian being there last year. Definitely again this year. I think they're going to take Socorro this time.
Okay, Jake.
I'm going to go Hope Christian on this one.
I think Hope's going to win it. I think Socorro's a very good team, but this just feels like a game that Hope Christian's going to take. Manny?
Of all the high school teams that we've talked about today, Hope Christian has got the best defense. They've allowed 72 points the entire season.
I will say their district is awful. That's they won like 50-0 their last 5 games.
And so yeah, I guess I get that, but I think Socorro's in a strange place even at home in this one. And Hope Christian's got just a little more of advantage in terms of history and championship games and being very successful, particularly in basketball. You mentioned that.
Yes.
And but it's a small outfit, so I bet you some of their basketball guys are playing football as well. I have really no other thing to say about this except my buddy John Sanchez, our former lieutenant governor, went to Hope Christian the first year they opened.
Oh wow!
And so he's very high on Hope Christian. So for this one's for you, John. I'm going Huskies.
Lara.
I'm gonna step out there and go Socorro.
Hey, they're the number 1 seed for a reason,
Yeah.
Brandon?
I'm going to go Socorro as well.
It makes me nervous now because Lara's been beating us all year long, and so you know she's going to get that one right. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and pick some college games. It is rivalry weekends across college football, so we'll have a lot of those coming up next for you here on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. This is the KNMZ Football Roundtable.
At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, we are proud of the great high schools in Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, Mescalero, and Tularosa. Our student athletes set a valuable example for everyone to follow. They work hard to succeed in the classroom and in competitive sports and contribute enormous time and energy to bring pride to their schools and community. At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, as we work hard to protect the families and businesses of Otero County, we proudly take pause to follow our student athletes and extend our best wishes for their success every day in the classroom and on game day.
Fall is here and winter is creeping up on us fast. This is Brandon with Desert Sun Toyota, and the prices are falling on all new 2019s in stock. I invite you down to Desert Sun Toyota today. Take advantage of some of the biggest savings of the year, like the new 2019 Camrys with $2,500 cash back, or the new 2019 4Runners with $1,250 cash back, or payments as low as $349 a month. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, come see why Toyota is ranked #1 in retail sales in the U.S. Desert Sun Toyota's Used Car Supercenter is expanding with our new value price vehicle lineup, like a 2010 Buick Enclave SUV priced at only $7,400. If you're in the market for a truck, SUV, or car, Desert Sun Toyota has what you're looking for. Our staff is here with experience, knowledge, and the best customer service to make your vehicle purchase the best. Come see why Desert Sun is voted #1 auto dealer in Otero County year after year. Visit us at DesertSunToyota.com or 3333 North White Sands Boulevard.
Hi, my name is Jake Roberts, and I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Southern Nelson. Are you looking for your dream home, or are you looking to sell your property and need the guidance to get noticed? I can help you with professional real estate services today. Call me at 575-446-8574 or email me at jake@nmvistas.com. To view a list of our inventory, visit our website at alamogordo-coldwellbanker.com or visit us at 800 Scenic Drive in Alamogordo.
Here at Christ Community, we are all about Jesus, we're all about people, and all about community. We are more than a building, more than a gathering. We are more than a religion. We are a place to belong, a place to be changed, and a place to experience relationship with God and others. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, and no matter what you've done, Jesus loves you, we love you, and you belong here at Christ Community.
Now you have a choice when it comes to keeping massive files of your bank statements every month. With an online e-statement, you'll have an accurate, easy-to-read electronic statement you can access anywhere, anytime. Get more control over your cash flow. And no more giant filing cabinets. Our e-statements get an A+. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back to the KNMZ Football Roundtable. We're having deep discussion over Ole Miss giving away the game last night. I probably could have used another term because everybody else was making jokes on Twitter last night about the way Ole Miss lost the Egg Bowl last night. So if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go Google it. You know who I felt worse for is that kicker because he got put in that tough position.
Yeah.
And that's a rivalry game, and that's tough. All right, let's go ahead and get to our college picks for this week, and we'll start with a rivalry, Notre Dame taking on Stanford. For Notre Dame, just trying to finish the season strong. Stanford this is a really down season for Coach Shaw and his group. They're not going to go to a bowl game this year, and surprising to say the least. But two very smart schools here, and Stanford coming off a loss to Cal last week, so kind of surprising on that. Manny?
Yeah, kind of anticlimactic, this finishing last game of the season. Of course, you always hope for a good football game. I think Stanford will rise up a little bit. I think they're going to be ready for the Irish and make it competitive. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you know what I'll be doing, but I'm going Fighting Irish, Queen of Heaven, touchdown Jesus.
Lara?
I'm going to go Notre Dame as well.
Yeah, Bill, you're getting the first experience of the Mannyisms today.
Well, my only regret is this is not at Notre Dame Stadium because I don't get to hear that lady sing that beautiful song right before kickoff.
How is this not a Stone Cold lead pipe?
Because it doesn't need to be. He uses those for like the games that are kind of close, and so he jumps out there.
I mean, it's what, 16 points?
It's pretty big.
Yeah, there's no lead pipe there.
Yeah.
16-5 right now.
Yeah, Brandon?
Yeah, you got to go Notre Dame on this game. I went with Stanford last week, and and I knew it was going to be a good game, but yeah, they don't have it this year.
Yeah. Bill, I know it's probably hard to pick Notre Dame being a Michigan fan, but
It's one of those hard picks I got to pick, but I will agree with Tim on this one. This Notre Dame definitely.
Okay. Jake?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to go Irish. Everybody with Notre Dame.
Thank you for putting that game on there, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. It was close. I mean, it was around that 14-point deal. Just like
The same closeness that gets Alabama kicked off the sheet, but it's close.
Oh no, Alabama's like 28, 35 and stuff. I mean, that's what that's. Hey, Alabama's on the sheet this week.
They are on the sheet this week.
You be quiet over
and
there.
honestly, they might actually lose this game too, but that's another story.
And there's this one as well that, you know, the spread's pretty open and with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, but put it on there because it's Bedlam, it's rivalry, and I think with rivalry, I know the spread is 13.5, but that has more to do with the money, what people are betting. The bettors think that Oklahoma's going to win this game, and they're trying to even it out on that, but I think, Brandon, you've watched enough Oklahoma State games that anything can happen.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm going to say that Oklahoma State this year hasn't had their typical season that they normally have. Same thing with, Oklahoma. They've kind of had a little bit of a struggle this season compared to seasons in the past. But, it should be a good game as always. Oklahoma is going to go out. They're going to win this game. Whether it's going to be a 3-point favorite, I don't know. But for all my OU fans out there, boomer.
And Oklahoma State ranked this year. They've had a nice season. It's in Stillwater. It's just one of those that, maybe the home atmosphere will help the Cowboys out a little bit. Bill, what do you think?
Oklahoma's going to take this one, I believe.
All right. Jake?
I'm going to roll with Hurts. Let's take Oklahoma.
I want to see the rematch of Oklahoma and Baylor because I'm if Oklahoma can play not a terrible game against Baylor, I wonder if that's just going to be a blowout. I think they've been the best team in the Big 12 all year long. They've just had some moments where they haven't played well. The question is, will they have a Kansas State type game? Will they have a Baylor type game? And really, they were lucky to get out of that Baylor game with a win earlier this season. So, I can't go with Oklahoma State. I just think Oklahoma's the better team, but it really, really wouldn't shock me at all if the Cowboys got the win. Just, it's the rivalry aspect. Anything can happen in those kind of games.
They've done it before.
Yep, absolutely. And games where Oklahoma State was a much bigger underdog as well. Manny?
Jalen Hurts.
All right, Lara?
OU.
All right, everybody's going with Oklahoma. Off to the Iron Bowl, and for the first time in a while, it sort of feels like this is, because of the quarterback situation at Alabama, there's a fair amount of question marks. How's Matt Jones going to perform? And Auburn has just kind of been a down-on-luck team. They've played their 3 losses, really close games against really good teams. They've lost to LSU and Florida and Georgia. It's not like they've been losing to bad teams this season, and they're at home. And it's the Iron Bowl, and it's rivalry game. It's Roll Tide, War Eagle. It's all that fun stuff that goes along with this matchup. Hopefully, we'll see some differing picks here, but we'll start off with Jake.
So Alabama is sitting outside the playoff picture right now. There's a lot of people who think they need to dominate Auburn to even make a shot. I still think a one-loss SEC team is better than a lot of the other undefeated teams. However, I don't know that Alabama is going to be that dominant in this game. It's the Auburn Tigers. They're going to be tough. They're going to play them rough. They are on a backup quarterback. I'm going to take Alabama because I trust Alabama and I trust Nick Saban, but this is going to be a game to watch.
I just don't have a whole lot of faith in Matt Jones. I think that this is the biggest scene that he's been on. He's only played in relief against a terrible Arkansas team and against Western Carolina. This is a different deal, and I think Alabama's defense and the running game maybe can get them through this. I think Auburn's going to find a way. I'm going to go with the Tigers. Manny?
So Alabama lost to LSU 46-41 at home.
Yeah, and a really good game.
Auburn lost to LSU 23-20 away. 3 points difference in that game. I think Auburn is underrated in this contest. The quarterback situation in Alabama has already been addressed. I'm going Tigers.
Ooh. Lara?
I'm going to go with Alabama.
Okay.
I feel a lot better now. Alabama's got this. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that.
But you know what? You could have picked up a game on her if she went with Auburn.
No, I'm good with that one.
You were more worried about losing a game to her, weren't you? Okay.
Yeah. No. I think I've got my picks right now. I could get a game.
Okay, fair enough.
I could lose one, but I could win one too. So,
Brandon.
Anytime I have a chance to pick against Alabama, I'm going to. And this is not a bad game to pick against them, so I'm going to go Auburn.
And, by the way, Alabama losing would help out Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
I mean, that'd be one less one-loss team ahead of them. So,
okay,
Bill.
I didn't want to mention that, but that's true.
I think I'm going to go against Tim on this one. He picked Alabama, but I think Auburn has a better chance. It's at their house, and I think they're going to pull it out, Auburn, on this one.
Okay. People at the front picked Alabama. That means the rest of us are probably wrong. Now we get to Ohio State and Michigan, and we mentioned at the top of the show, Bill is a huge Michigan fan. Ohio State still has the college football playoff right in front of them, a chance to get to a national championship. Michigan has been playing very well as of recent, and I feel like that there seems to be a lot of momentum with Michigan. 9.5 points going to Ohio State. Probably should throw all that out the window. It's a rivalry game. Bill, does Jim Harbaugh finally get his first win over Ohio State?
He does this Saturday. He does tomorrow. What's kind of funny is, I just got married on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're a house divided right now. My very new wife says that Michigan doesn't get the win here.
Oh, no.
So they need to pull this one out for me.
All right.
Michigan.
Diane's not behind you on that one. That's dang it. All right, we got one Michigan pick. What do we got from Jake?
So I think Harbaugh is still a great coach. I think the media coverage or the fact that people still want him removed in Michigan is kind of crazy, because I think he's brought them back to prominence. However, I do not think he gets that first win this week. I'm going with the Buckeyes.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I just think Ohio State they're number one right now in the college football playoff. I think they've been the best team in the country all season long. They've been dominant in a lot of games. It's one of those that I gotta see it to believe it. With Jim Harbaugh's Michigan beating Ohio State, so I'm gonna go with the Bucks in this one. But I find myself rooting for Michigan because I love chaos, and I'd like to see LSU lose this weekend. I'd like to see I just like it to be craziness across the board, and
chaos is great.
Yeah,
Love it.
So I would love to see Michigan get the win just because I like the college football playoff people to have to earn
and
their
there's
money.
been a lot of that this year.
Yeah.
This year seems more than usual. A lot of these teams that should be winning games are not, and so it's been a little bit of a year like that.
Manny, you going to go with the lead pipe lock on this one?
No.
No? Okay.
No. This is must-see TV, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're a football fan, this is must-see TV. And, Michigan, they're the underdog. It's in their place. Is it 117,000 or 111,000? I can't remember the number.
Bill was there earlier this year.
When I was there, it was 111,474.
Okay. So that house is big. That's why they call it the big house. But Ohio State, you just can't. I've looked at the math, and they're at 40% better statistically in most of the major categories over Michigan. I'm going Buckeyes.
Lara.
Ohio State. No
Okay.
question.
All right. Brandon.
No question.
No question.
No question.
Poor Bill.
But you gotta see. This is must see.
Yeah, so I will be watching. Don't worry.
See, as a Clemson fan, you should want Ohio State to lose.
Right. No, no. My friend is an Ohio State fan, and she will unfriend me.
Okay, fair enough.
We've had conversations.
For my friends out there at Mastertune, David Miller, Sean Hinkle, I'm going to go with Ohio State.
All right.
Just for you two.
Okay, the other Big Ten game this week is Wisconsin going to Minnesota. A spot in the Big Ten title game on the line between these two teams. This is a rivalry game between these two sides. I don't remember what exactly they play. I don't know if this is the one with the jug, or I always get confused on what those rivalries.
It's an axe, isn't it?
Is it an axe?
Yeah, I
okay.
think this one's Paul
Is it Paul
Bunyan's
Bunyan's axe?
No,
Okay, good call.
Paul Bunyan is Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
Little Brown Jug is Michigan, Minnesota.
Okay, it's Michigan, Minnesota. Okay.
I'll
Yeah, we'll figure out what it is.
This one's Paul
It's on the
Bunyan's axe. I
internet.
gotta pull
Google
that
it.
up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I'm all over it.
Okay, so Minnesota, Wisconsin is Paul Bunyan's axe. There you go. Anyway, Wisconsin comes in as a 3-point favorite in this game. Minnesota is getting no love this season. They've been underdogs pretty much across the board in these games, and I do think it's sort of fair. I think there's a question mark over how good Minnesota is, but they lost that Iowa game after the high of winning Penn State. You kind of understood that they had to go on the road and play a good Iowa team. They're at home in this game where they beat Penn State earlier this year. Wisconsin, they had a loss to Illinois, which doesn't look as bad as it did earlier this year. Illinois had been a good team this year, and then of course lost to Ohio State later on in the year. So I think a tough one to decide, and when you have the higher ranked team as the underdog, I think that makes it even tougher, to be fair. So, Lara.
Ooh, me first.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to go Golden Gophers. Minnesota.
All right, Minnesota at home. Brandon.
Man, this is a tough game. Federico at Desert Sun over there is telling me to go Minnesota. My grandma's from Wisconsin, And I'm going to go Wisconsin just for that reason. I have no other reason other than that.
Hey, you got the Badgers.
For my
winning, right?
grandma.
All right.
There you go.
All right, Bill.
This is a toss-up, I believe, this game, but Tim's got Wisconsin picked here, so we'll go with Wisconsin.
Jake.
I'm also taking Wisconsin. I think traditionally they've just been a better program. I think they'll pull this out.
Minnesota's been one of those that, picked them against Iowa, thought, oh, yeah, they're going to get the win on the road. Didn't feel very good about that one, and I don't know. I think the atmosphere at home, Wisconsin's been kind of a sketchy team throughout the season this year. They, very up and down, but, you could say the same about Minnesota. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go Golden Gophers. Manny?
Badgers? We don't need no stinking Badgers. Minnesota.
All right.
That is not what I thought he was going with on that one.
Me neither.
And even split there. That's good. All right, and I threw in a wild card game. It's a rivalry game. Louisville facing off against Kentucky. Kentucky's just getting 3.5 at home in this one. Both teams, or I should say, Kentucky's 6-5. Louisville is 7-4 this season. SEC versus ACC in this matchup. A tough one to pick. Kentucky. It's been impressive how that program has been able to stay better. Kentucky's usually been one of those terrible, terrible teams in the SEC, but they've been better in recent seasons. I'll go with Kentucky at home, but, man, I don't feel too great about that one. I'm going to go with the Wildcats. Manny?
I like speed in this one. I think Louisville's a faster football team. I'm going Cardinals.
All right. Lara?
Louisville.
Brandon?
I thought I was going to be the only one. I had a really good friend of mine from Kentucky. He was in the Air Force. Passed away at a very young age. Good friend of mine. Keith, this one's for you. We're going to go Louisville.
All right. Bill?
Tim is going Kentucky on this one.
Okay. And Jake?
I'm gonna take Louisville.
Okay.
I don't really have a good grasp on this game, to be honest with you.
It's sad. I threw that in there because last week we had a bunch of these kind of games in there. This week I wanted to be a little bit more some of the bigger games with us, but I wanted to throw at least one in there.
I love them.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and we'll pick some pro games. Should mention NMSU finishes up their season against Liberty on the road. I'm happy that they're not worse than UTEP. That's a nice thing. And UNM finishes up their season this week against Utah State. So that's what our area teams are doing. Coming back with more of the KNMZ Football Roundtable on ESPN Alamogordo after this.
Fall is here and winter is creeping up on us fast. This is Brandon with Desert Sun Toyota, and the prices are falling on all new 2019s in stock. I invite you down to Desert Sun Toyota today. Take advantage of some of the biggest savings of the year, like the new 2019 Camrys with $2,500 cash back, or the new 2019 4Runners with $1,250 cash back, or payments as low as $349 a month. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, come see why Toyota is ranked #1 in retail sales in the U.S. Desert Sun Toyota's Used Car Supercenter is expanding with our new value price vehicle lineup, like a 2010 Buick Enclave SUV priced at only $7,400. If you're in the market for a truck, SUV, or car, Desert Sun Toyota has what you're looking for. Our staff is here with experience, knowledge, and the best customer service to make your vehicle purchase the best. Come see why Desert Sun is voted #1 auto dealer in Otero County year after year. Visit us at DesertSunToyota.com or 3333 North White Sands Boulevard.
At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, we are proud of the great high schools in Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, Mescalero, and Tularosa. Our student athletes set a valuable example for everyone to follow. They work hard to succeed in the classroom and in competitive sports and contribute enormous time and energy to bring pride to their schools and community. At Charles Garland and Harris Insurance, as we work hard to protect the families and businesses of Otero County, we proudly take pause to follow our student athletes and extend our best wishes for their success every day in the classroom and on game day.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Taking a look at your area weather, today's forecast is calling for cloudy skies, 70% chance of rain, dropping to 40% by tonight. Alamogordo, high of 56, low of 35. Cloudcroft, high of 41 and an overnight low of 24. For tomorrow, we're looking at sunny skies. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 52, low of 32. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 40 and an overnight low of 23.
Now you have a choice when it comes to keeping massive files of your bank statements every month. With an online e-statement, you'll have an accurate, easy-to-read electronic statement you can access anywhere, anytime. Get more control over your cash flow. And no more giant filing cabinets. our e-statements get an A+. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
Here at Christ Community, we are all about Jesus, we're all about people, and all about community. We are more than a building, more than a gathering. We are more than a religion. We are a place to belong, a place to be changed, and a place to experience relationship with God and others. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, and no matter what you've done, Jesus loves you, we love you, and you belong here at Christ Community.
Are you looking to rent or need someone to manage your property? Hi, I'm Jake Roberts with Coldwell Banker, Sudworth Nelson. Did you know that we are the largest property management company in Alamogordo? Whether you are looking for a short-term housing solution or to turn an existing property into a great long-term investment, give us a call at 575-437-1137. Visit our website today at alamogordocoldwellbanker.com or come by and see us at 800 Scenic Drive.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back to the KNMZ Football Roundtable, and we move on to our pro picks for this week. I can't go anywhere without saying, how about them Bills, man? That was awesome. Best Thanksgiving ever to beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. That was fantastic. And, man, the meltdown from, I think, both fans and media today has just been unbelievable.
Well, Charles, you want me to take over the show for a minute while you take a victory lap around the building?
I just did it right there. You know, unfortunately, Tim's not here to celebrate with me in all of this. I'm a little bummed out in all of that. So
next week, just put like a Bills shirt on his chair.
Yeah. So, Bill, you're not a Cowboys fan, right? No, I didn't think so.
No, sir.
What is your NFL team?
My NFL team is the Lions.
Lions. Okay, so it wasn't a. Hey, they played pretty well yesterday, though.
Their uniforms look cool.
They had some cool uniforms on. They played well. Just couldn't finish it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the third-string quarterback, that game was way more competitive than I think anybody thought it was going to be.
And their uniforms looked cool.
Yeah, they did. And then, of course, you also had the Saints beating the Falcons last night. I don't know if we were talking about it off air about recovering 3 onside kicks, and this day in the NFL, or this age in the NFL, is just ridiculous. That almost never happens. So, unfortunately, Atlanta can't pass protect. That's their biggest problem, because I feel so bad for Matt Ryan, man. He's just in a for a team that was in the Super Bowl not that long ago, for them to be as bad as they are this year is kind of crazy. But overall, I thought, some pretty entertaining games on NFL Thursdays or Thanksgiving Thursday. So we got, of course, games coming up for you on Sunday, and we'll start off with the Raiders going to Kansas City. Huge game for the AFC West. KC could pretty much put it to bed if they win this game. Oakland, Manny, what happened?
Let's talk about
An unprofessional effort. I've already burnt the tape. Burnt the tape immediately. Took my clothes off, went straight to the washing machine and washed off the loss. On games like that, you just turn the page as fast as possible. And I'm going to remind everybody that Kansas City is 2-3 at home, which is very unusual for Arrowhead. Very unusual. I'm going Raiders.
Lara.
Casey.
Brandon.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs.
Bill.
Kansas City on this one.
Jake.
Casey.
Man, everybody's going. But I'm really surprised by this, because it's not as if the Raiders been bad. I know last week was a terrible loss, but Kansas City's been very up and down this year. This feels like a bit of a scary game for them. That 2-3 at Arrowhead is.
So are you going Oakland?
So weird. I haven't decided yet. I genuinely haven't decided yet.
Don't rush him. Don't rush him.
I never fill out my sheet beforehand. I just kind of go by the seat of my pants in this whole thing. So. But I do think, Oakland's lost. Here's the thing. I mean, Manny says they're 2-3 at home. The other part is the but. The Raiders are 1-4 away from the biggity O. So that's the thing that scares me more than anything else. Casey's
I think
10.
that's wrong. I think they won some.
They've won one game. They're 1-4.
Away from.
Yep.
Well, Indianapolis, London.
I think London was technically a home game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I just remember the trip.
It's very much not a home game.
I know it's not a home game, but it was technically a home game.
I have to side with Manny on that.
And I mean, I would also say, but it's an away game for both teams, though.
Right.
I mean, it's a neutral site essentially. And that's the thing for me is the Raiders have not been as good a team away from their place. It's going to be cold. It's going to be nasty there in Kansas City tomorrow. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But Kansas City, it's hard to understand KC this year. I mean, at times they've looked better without Patrick Mahomes in there. With Matt Moore, there was a couple of those games. It was like, Not saying that they shouldn't be starting Patrick Mahomes. It's just the Chiefs have been a strange team to figure out this year because it doesn't seem like there's that much different with that group from last season. But yeah, I'll go with the Chiefs in Arrowhead. New England going to Houston. Patriots coming off that tight win over the Cowboys last week. The Texans, I think, are they coming off? No, they're coming off a win over the Colts last week. So they're sitting in the driver's seat in the AFC South. Here's another thing, though. The Texans, and more importantly, former assistants of Bill Belichick do not do well against Bill Belichick over the years. I mean, there's the rare one like Josh McDaniels winning in Denver, but Romeo Crennel and Bill O'Brien and Charlie Weiss and on and on and on.
They're just Tebow.
Yeah. There hasn't been a whole lot of success there. But Patriots only getting 3.5 on the road. Lara?
Patriots.
Of course it's going to be Patriots. Brandon?
This is interesting. New England, they're tough. I mean, they're tough. I mean, you look at the passing ratings between Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson. Brady's only at 88.5, and Watson's at 103.4. I mean, granted, I think the biggest difference here is Deshaun Watson has a couple more interceptions. But I was impressed with the way Houston played. I'm going to go with Houston at home.
Another one of those, any opportunity to pick against the Patriots?
Yes, sir.
Bill?
Tim's got the GOAT and New England picked on this one.
And you're sticking with Tim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jake?
The GOAT has not played like the GOAT this year.
Yeah.
I'm still taking New England, but, I mean, this is a good game for Houston. I think I think this might show some weaknesses in New England's game. We'll see what happens.
Patriots defense. That's all. I mean, I feel like that's all I need to say at this point. The Texans, especially what they did against Baltimore a couple of weeks ago. The only team the Patriots haven't been able to stop are the Ravens. I think it's
probably the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
It at least looks like it. I don't know. You got San Francisco, man. I tell you what, man. The 49ers look unbelievable at the moment. I was blown away by how well they played the other night. I just think the Patriots defense are going to find a way here, but it'll be a close game because the Patriots offense is not good this season. And
anemic.
I know people are blaming Brady, but just look at his weapons right now and the people he gets to throw the football to. There's been other years where he's been able to survive that. I think there's a little bit of decline in his ability, but it's a combination of that, and, man, he just has nobody to throw the football to.
Well, I think they've gotten
season.
too comfortable with him bailing them out of all these situations.
True.
So they haven't surrounded him with anything, and now when he's got that little bit of decline and he needs that help, he doesn't have it.
I have respect for the Patriots for not calling Antonio Brown back and saying, "Hey, you want to come play?" I guess maybe he couldn't play. The NFL has him on that suspension list. I heard that he was
working out for New England like last week.
But I don't know if he can play right now because I think the NFL suspended him because of all the issues he's having. So, but anyway, Manny.
This is.
Oh, you're gonna get one.
The Charles Garland and Harris Insurance Agency 5-star lead pipe lock of the week. Is the Motorbank open?
Yes.
Tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, and Sunday?
No.
But the drive-up is open.
The drive-up will, the ATM will be open on Sunday. Yeah.
So go to the bank and cash the check. Texans.
Texas.
Hey, that makes me feel kind of good because you've been on pretty good this
Watch
year.
this one.
Yeah, he does. He does get those lead pipe locks every now and then. Okay, Tennessee going to Indianapolis. Huge game for both teams to try and stay in the AFC South playoff hunt, stay in the wild card hunt. Both these teams have been hard to figure out. Like I talked about Kansas City. There were some really good weeks for Tennessee and then some really bad weeks. And Brandon can attest there's been some really good weeks for the Colts and really bad. Colts have also had to deal with quarterback issues. Of course, with Jacoby Brissett taking over for Andrew Luck, but then you've got Brian Hoyer, so that's been something that's been a disruption for the Colts a little bit this season. But, I'm excited to see how well Ryan Tannehill has played. He's gotten a second chance there in Tennessee. He was a good quarterback in Miami, but just was never good enough to take them anywhere. It's always fun to see somebody get a second opportunity, and I feel like he's ran with that there in Tennessee, and the Titans have been on a little bit of a roll. So we'll see what happens in this one. Brandon.
Colts only have a 2.5-point favorite going into this game, which is a little under home field advantage. I think last week we saw, we kind of was able to see how good Houston is, and they played a great game, but I think Indy should be able to win this game, especially in their place, Indianapolis Colts.
All right. Bill.
Tim's got Tennessee picked on this one.
Okay, going with the Titans. Jake.
I mean, let's go Indianapolis.
All right, going with Colts. I think Colts at home. Tennessee's on the road, and this is just one of those games. It feels like they had a great game last week against Jacksonville, and then they turn around and play terribly the next week. The joke on the Dan Le Batard show is always that the Titans are perpetually 8-8. I mean, they are always a 500 team, and this would get them back to 500. So I'm going to go with the Colts, mainly because it's at their place. That's what gets me. Man,
Do you know Ryan Tannehill's the top-rated quarterback in the AFC?
Wow, he's had a great year.
I did not know that.
Yep. But it's at the oil can, so I'm going Colts.
Lara.
Colts.
All right. Tim and Bill going to try to pick one up on the rest of us there.
Right.
All right, Cleveland going to Pittsburgh. How about the Browns? They seem to be turning around. Their schedule has gotten significantly easier, and they've been playing better, I think, is another part of that. And they're getting a 2-point favor on the road. You've got Samford's Devlin Hodges starting at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. So that definitely doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. Baker's been playing better. The whole team has been playing better for the Browns. That win over Buffalo has kind of been the catalyst for them over the last few weeks. And I felt kind of bad about that loss. I'm feeling not as bad because of how well the Browns have played in recent weeks, and they can put themselves right in the midst of the AFC wildcard hunt if they win this game. Jake.
I'm not sure playing against Pittsburgh is your schedule getting easier.
Well, no,
Pittsburgh's normally always
weeks.
tough, right? Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago they played Pittsburgh, and then they just played. Who did they play last week?
Well, they played Miami last week.
2 weeks ago is when we had the Garrett thing that we were talking about, right? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
Pittsburgh's been okay. They've been the backup quarterback all year, so.
Agreed, 100%. But still, that defense, that Iron Curtain, like that's a legit thing. I'm going to take Cleveland, even though they're at Pittsburgh. They've just been playing really, really well. They don't have Myles Garrett, which is a problem, but of course we don't have to go into his thing again. I think that's well deserved. I think Cleveland just looks good. I think I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to take Cleveland.
There were Cleveland fans last week that had a Mason Rudolph piñata and were hitting him with a Cleveland helmet.
Oh, I saw that.
I laughed. I'm not gonna. I know it's not in good taste, but I laughed, and I was like, sometimes you just got to take it with what it is.
And
that whole situation was ugly.
Aren't they trying to have communications with the coach and everything to make sure that this is not a retaliation game? Like I've heard that there's a lot of focus on making sure.
I'm sure there is, but I'm sure there's still gonna. It's a rivalry game. This has been ugly, kind of an ugly game over the years, regardless.
That's
so, but the two people that were involved in that are not even playing in this game. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's going to be as big of a deal. And especially for both these teams, it's a crucial game. They both have a chance to make the playoffs. So you would hope that they wouldn't focus on that. Cleveland's playing better. I think we're starting to see the team we thought we would see this year with the talent they have. I'm going to go with the Browns on the road. Manny?
Charles, that's exactly right. The Cleveland Browns are becoming the team that we thought they were going to be in the beginning of the season. Remember all the hype?
Yeah.
The place to be? I'm going Cleveland on the road.
Lara?
Cleveland.
Brandon?
Man, I thought more people would jump out there at Pittsburgh, but I'm not one of those people. I mean, Cleveland, if they can play like they did last weekend, they should win this game pretty easily.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm with everybody else on this one, Cleveland.
It's been interesting, though. I think it would be fun to see that team get to the playoffs based on the ration of heck that they got at the beginning of the season for how terrible they were at 2-6. And you just have to look at who they played early in the season. They were playing the Niners and the Patriots, and I mean it was a ridiculously tough schedule. So they may not be as good as those top level teams, but they're certainly better than I think the mid level teams.
Well, and it just goes to show you can't crown the Super Bowl favorite before the season starts. Like that's a little ridiculous. Yeah. And they do it all the time. Clearly, they didn't match up to the hype, and I don't think that's a shame on them. I think it was unnecessary pressure, and they're turning into the team that we thought they'd be.
Yeah, everybody was saying Freddie Kitchens wasn't good enough to be an NFL coach, and all of a sudden, I'm sure that talk is not happening as much. All right,
a lot less.
Yeah,
a lot less hot.
Monday night game, very good one. Minnesota taking on Seattle. Minnesota 8-3, Seattle is 9-2, and 3 points going to Seattle. So just home fields. essentially for the Seahawks. Not much more to expect out of that. So I think it's a tough one to pick. But, man, Russell Wilson is just having one of the best seasons. I think at times very quietly. I don't think enough people are talking about the kind of year that Russell Wilson is. Probably because that guy in Baltimore's having an even better season. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home. That's the 12th man. Manny?
Yeah, Seattle's probably going to win this game, but I'm going to pick the Vikings. I prefer the Vikings in this one, but we'll see. I'll be watching.
I just don't trust Kirk Cousins. I don't know if I'll ever trust him, Lara.
Well, today is Russell Wilson's birthday, so I'll go Seattle.
Okay, very good. I think he's, 31 or 30? I think he's 31 today.
I don't know.
Brandon?
You know, Seattle is especially dangerous in their own place. I'm going to go Seattle.
Bill?
Tim's got Seattle picked here, but I'm going to put one out here for my honey. That's going to go Minnesota on this one.
Wait a minute. She's told you Ohio State is going to win, and you're backing her up here. That's a good husband. I tell you what.
He's learning.
You've only been on the job a week.
We're about 5 days into it. He's doing all right.
5 days into this. Yeah.
Jake?
Seattle.
All right. So
don't be a Mr. Bungles. On my first wedding anniversary, I went to see the Raiders play. And it took me a long time to get over that. Don't be a Mr. Bungles.
All right. And speaking of that other guy I was talking about, Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, you just can't get enough of watching that guy right now. I mean, it is incredible what he is doing and how well they played on Monday night against the Rams. And now they get the San Francisco 49ers, and this is one of the best matchups we've seen. So I feel like the matchup, obviously, to watch here is the San Francisco defense against Lamar Jackson and how he is able to break down how good that San Francisco D has been. And the Ravens are getting 5 in this game. But this is the same thing we saw last week with Manny's Raiders. It's that West Coast team making the East Coast trip and an early game as well. On 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time. So that's always tough. And it's 10 a.m. out there on the West Coast. So we'll see if the 49ers will be able to travel a little bit better than what we saw the Raiders do last week. Bill, let's start it off. Who do you like, the Ravens or the
This
Niners?
has a potential to be a great game from what we've seen early in the year. But I think San Francisco is going to pull this one out.
All right. Jake?
Yeah, I still maintain that I think Baltimore is the best team in the league. I actually don't think this is close. I think this is a blowout. I think Baltimore is going to crush San Francisco. I really do.
The way they've been playing recently, you would certainly feel that that's going to be the case. They have been demolishing teams. I think that San Francisco defense will keep it close, but I expect at home Baltimore, that East Coast road trip for San Francisco, I think is going to affect them a little bit. I'm going to go Ravens at home, but I don't think it's going to be the blowout that we've seen the Baltimore Ravens lay out the last few weeks. Manny?
Well, it's the travel, it's the time, it's the trip, it's all of that. And the 49ers can afford to give one up.
Oh, that's true.
And so maybe they're coming in a little bit too relaxed. Baltimore, on the other hand, in their place is going to be ready to go. I'm going Ravens.
I would argue that they can't give one up, though, because if they lose this game, they've got Seattle coming up. They can actually lose that NFC West if they lose a couple of games here down the stretch. So it's kind of tough. You got a couple of those divisions where you've got a really good team right on their heels. So this is huge for San Francisco for sure. Lara?
The Ravens.
Brandon?
I think this is the game of the week.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I do plan on, out of any of these games on my sheet today, other than the OU game, this is the game I'll probably be tuned into. But I think Baltimore at home, I think they win.
All right. Anybody go 49ers? Everybody went Baltimore, right?
No, Tim.
Tim went 49ers.
Okay, Tim went 49ers. Okay, that's where I was like, wait a minute. All right, so that's all we got for the picks this week. There's some other good games out there with playoff implications this week that we didn't have on the sheets. I don't know. Does Manny have any interest in Chargers and Broncos now that both those teams are playing so terribly?
Not really.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point it's like, you'd like to see Phillip Rivers maybe finish the season strong, but it's sort of starting to feel like maybe we're beginning to see the end.
Speaking of Phillip Rivers, though, looking at passing yards, he's ranked 4th right now, which is, you got Prescott, Winston, Ryan, and Rivers is number 4. So
got to go with that interception tally though on his side though. That's the thing that's hurting him a little bit more this year. Bucks and Jags should be. It could be an interesting game, but both teams that are definitely out of it. And I don't know if there's anything I'm curious to see if the Packers can bounce back after as terribly as they looked last week. So,
Do we talk about the Cowboys?
we can talk about it again. I have no problem talking about that game.
I wonder if Tim's listening.
Probably not, knowing that might happen. But I just listen. I was talking on the radio earlier this week. I still think that the Cowboys are probably a better team than the Bills, but boy, the Cowboys are in disarray right now. They don't look very good, and I think it's probably the right move to stick with Jason Garrett before the end of the season. But hey, Cowboys fans, you should thank my Buffalo Bills because they probably speeded along that process of getting Jason Garrett out of there. Because
I still don't think Garrett's that bad. I feel like I'm like the only one riding that train, but I think Garrett's I think he's been a good coach for them.
But Garrett's not doing the turnovers. Turnovers were killed the Cowboys yesterday.
What was it? 2 interceptions? 2 interceptions?
1 interception, 2 fumbles.
Yeah, like that's not Garrett's fault.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't coach that.
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for the show this week. We'll talk to you all next week here on the KNMZ Football Roundtable.